Yeah, just to start off, my name is Arbro.
Yeah, for sure. My
I'm a
name's
talent manager
Minsky.
for
I
Optimum
am the
Ambition.
community
I'm
director
19
for
years
Optimum
old,
Ambition.
and I
Been
also
in the community for
manage
about
12
6 months with
professional
them,
Fortnite players.
and I
Mincy, you want
graduated
to
from
go
Florida
next with
State in
introducing
community
yourself?
marketing and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, for sure. My name's
I've worked in
Minsky.
digital
I
marketing and
am
sales as
the
well,
community director
and
for Optimum
appreciate
Vision.
everyone
I've been in the
joining
community for
us
about
and
6 months
hopefully
with
be a great
them,
space.
and
Talk
I
a lot
graduated
about
from
all the
Florida
organizations
State with a
involved,
degree in
and
marketing and
excited to hear from you guys
entrepreneurship.
stories.
I've worked in digital marketing and sales as well, and appreciate everyone joining us tonight. It's going to hopefully be a great space. Learn about a lot about all the organizations involved, and excited to hear you guys' stories.
Also, I would like to say, if you guys see the third co-host or second co-host, technically, it's eSpace, and that's our Minsky and my new Twitter for the Spaces series. And how this all started actually was I just did a episode with Life with Panda as the first one with Cease and Queasy, and then Minsky and I did one last time. We were like, okay, you know what? Let's actually make this into something legit. So we're gonna start posting on Apple Music or wherever it goes on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and all of that. And we're gonna make sure to get like good recordings for everyone to listen if you're not able to make it. So we'd really appreciate if you guys go drop a follow to the new Twitter eSpace. But yeah, to start it off, um, I think every org, introduce yourself, who you are like behind the screen right now, and what your position is, and how exactly, like the backstory of how did you start this organization, what like the initial ideas to starting it, to pursuing it, getting personnel, and then to where it is today, and explain everything. Oa, you want to start off?
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, Arbro Minsky, thanks for putting this together. Again, everybody, make sure you drop the boys a follow with their eSpace new venture here. My name is Politicos, CEO of Optimal Ambition. We formed about just over a year ago. We entered the space, jumping quickly into the competitive scene. For those of you that have been around since day one, you'll know we jumped in with a nice FNCS win, DreamHack win, super strong competitive roster, and in the meantime we've been focusing on transitioning more into content to complement that competitive success, and also to really focus on kind of a community based approach. We've always taken the accessibility to our ownership, managers, and players and members very, very seriously. We don't want to be one of those organizations that's just kind of off doing their own thing and throwing content up every once in a while. We want to immerse ourselves in the community. We often host community events and opportunities to get to know us. We get to know you, spend some time together, and build a nice, strong community. We think we're doing a pretty good job. We have a
Very
lot
cool.
to
I might be a little
continue
biased, but
to improve on,
keep up the great
but
work you
we're
guys are
really
doing.
excited for the coming months and wrapping up 2021.
Very cool. I might be a little biased, but keep up the great work you guys are doing over there.
Hey, thanks, Minsky. You too, man.
AOS and 1%. You guys want to go next and just explain everything?
Sure. Yep. My name is Julian Castro, or Aeolus. I'm the CEO and owner of 1%. We started over a year ago, I think a little bit now, basically on the concept of making a influencer ran and owned team focused in content, specifically in Fortnite. We've had a really great year of growth and a lot of things to be excited about and a great community behind us. The whole reason we wanted to do 1% is to develop a team of people and a collective of creators that people could really get behind, and really support, and also build a community behind it that people can also be excited about being involved in. So currently the ownership group is myself, Formula, Nix, and Random. We have a bunch of other Fortnite creators that are great. We're going to be expanding a lot soon, and really, we're not too involved with esports other than the fact that we have Acorn, who in himself can represent us in Fortnite esports. We won an FNCS a couple seasons back, but primarily we're just a content team, and we love doing Fortnite content. It's what we do best. So
awesome. TNA, you want to go next?
Hey everyone, it's Joaquin speaking. I'm one of the co-founders of TNA, and I'm currently acting the role of CFO. In the crowd, you'll see a couple of the other founders. Kirsch is in the crowd, Warren, who's One of the folks who works in TNA as well is here. And, ever since the start, the whole mantra, the whole idea behind TNA was Team New Age. So a new age of athletes, a new age of content creation, and esports being mainstream and accessible in the space. So ever since the start, that was kind of our mantra. And since then, we wanted to be very competitive in Fortnite and establish ourselves there. We won, two FNCS championships on two different regions, have a strong presence in the Latin community in Fortnite, and at the same time producing in real life content out of the Team New Age House and Team New Age Mansion. So we try to have a balance of really strong competitive folks that, get high placements and do well on the leaderboards, but also balance that with strong communities that are worldwide and putting out great content out of our house. So that's Team New Age in a nutshell. And we've been around for a little over a year now.
Amazing. And Mitchell and Devour.
Okay. I'm Mitchell. I'm one of the owners of Devour, and I do a bunch of stuff within esports. But for Devour, I'm the current head of social media. So I'm kind of in charge of every social page that's run on Devour. We've been around for 2.5 years. We're run with zero funding, other than brand deals and sponsors that we brought in. So no investors, no personal investment, nothing like that. And our whole thing is we empower creators and give them tools and strategies that they can use to improve their brands. So yeah, we've kind of been on the smaller side for a while, just kind of doing our own little thing, kind of mainly focused on content, not much competitive, and we're in Fortnite, Valorant, some Call of Duty, but yeah, that's about it. Pretty basic.
Love to hear it. And Mitchell's been a part of the community for quite some time now, so he's been a great mentor, not only myself, but I'm sure a lot of you guys in the call here. So appreciate you coming on, and hope everything's going well with overtime as well. Okay, so I wanted to really get into a couple specific questions for you guys, just so everyone understands. We're looking to kind of ask a couple questions to the organizations today, as well as bringing up people to ask questions. So if you have any, all you have to do is DM myself or Arboro, and at the end, when we start doing questions, we can bring you up. You can also tweet out the space and use the hashtag eSpace series. It's right above as well in the tweet that I shared. But just to get started, I wanted to talk with Aeolus. So for 1%, what do you guys specifically look for in a creator, being as exclusive as you guys are, when choosing your creators that you're looking for?
Yeah, for us, it really is about how they mesh with the internal group. A lot of the people that we bring on, one, check the box in terms of somebody that we could see actually create a lot of synergy with our already existing internal culture. Obviously, we're looking for creators that are inspired, dedicated to their own brands, and something that I really stand by is looking for people that are willing to do it for themselves before they want to do it for a team, right? I want somebody that wants to grind, not because they want to join 1%, but because they want to grind to make it for themselves, regardless if they join or not. And for us, picking up somebody that's really dedicated to themselves and really is looking for kind of like that family internal culture of creators that is collaborating and working together to grow the individual brands and then come together to grow the 1% brand is really what we look for at its base level. So
be as dominating as he is in the scene, right?
Very cool. And how's it been having Acorn represent you guys on the comp scene side of things? I mean, obviously a great pickup, but it's nice to see him be as dominating as he is in the scene, right?
Yeah, no, he's a gem. I actually really, really love that kid, and we've had a great relationship, me and him, and we've had he's had a great relationship with our audience as well. If it wasn't for him, to be quite frank with you, we probably wouldn't be involved with the competitive space as it stands.
Yeah.
But because he's just such a great sound individual, and obviously he's one of the best, he's made our decision to stay relatively easy, because now it's like not even just about our investment in the space, it's more about our investment in him. And those are the type of investments that 1% wants to get involved in. It's not about the numbers or the prize pool. It's about investing in an individual that we believe in long term, and who he is. And I think that not only is he going to succeed as a pro player, but he'll succeed as a content creator when he's done with that. And that's what 1% is trying to set him up to do. So
You also may mention about Acorn, how did you exactly, like find him, see his potential? What was he at when you guys recruited him and everything? Like, tell us about it.
yeah, Formula and I were filming a custom video back in July, and we picked up Acorn for the video, and he dropped 43 kills, I think. And I was just sitting here like, man, this kid is insane. Obviously, he just had a great personality in the video. It was really calm, really easy to create with. And so we just kind of took a look at him, and he was up and coming. You can tell he was making a real positive trajectory in the space. He was placing more. He had just identified his current trio, and for us, it was pretty simple move, honestly. Everybody in the group saw it. I'm not really going to take credit and be like, I'm the one. Everybody really was excited about picking up Acorn and really saw a lot of value in him and his mentality and the way he approaches things. So for us, after that game, I just remember I actually like followed him. We talked a little bit. And then as I continued to see him place, it seemed like the logical next step. So
That's awesome. And now, Polly, OA, let's spin it back to you. How do you handle your time management for everything in this community, working full time as a consultant outside of this industry, as well as managing to find time to spend with your family? I'm sure that's not the easiest task, especially like having a toddler. Like, just tell us about that. And do you have like any advice for everyone?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I am 31 years old, married with a 2-year-old. I have a full-time job outside of OA, even though that in and of itself is a full-time job, as well as anyone up here in the speakers understands, and I'm sure many, if not all of you, understand in the audience as well. But for me, at the end of the day, it's really making sure you're taking care of the priorities that take precedent over everything first, which is your family and your family's well-being and your own well-being. So number one is being up with my daughter and my wife in the morning, making sure I'm there with them when it's bedtime, doing everything in between the morning and the evening, and then making sure that is all taken care of, making sure everybody's happy, healthy. And then it's it's game time all night, right? So obviously there's stuff going on throughout the day, but it's important to take care of the full-time job, which takes care of the family, and making sure the family's all set as well. So it's really, making sure you check those things off the list. Number one, I think for a lot of people here, it's likely school, right? So you're likely not going to have the opportunity for time management if you're not taking care of your stuff at school first. So at the end of the day, as long as you're living under your parents' roof, there's going to be some sort of restrictions in terms of what your priorities are going to be under that roof with that household. So you need to be making sure you're getting everything done to check those boxes. And then with whatever time's left in the day, whatever time's left in the week, whatever time's left in the month, you can prioritize, to get done what you need to get done on the content creation side or the competitive side. But if you're not taking care of the most important things first, which are your family, health, school, none of that other time even matters.
I do have a question. Obviously, I know a little bit about this already. But
Absolutely. Family first is incredibly important to, I know you and myself, and I'm sure pretty much everyone out here. So I definitely respect that. I do have a question. Obviously, I know a little bit about this already, but I'm sure a lot of the people in the call would like to know too, because I get DMs all the time about it. I'm sure you do as well. What is your opinion right now on how the Fortnite comp scene is going about, how the market is, and where it's really at today compared to maybe where it used to be when we were having the Coops of the world,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone here at some level is in love and is entertained by Fortnite competitive. I was just watching a clip of Nick Merckx today. Someone in Nick Merckx's chat while he was playing Apex asked him something along the lines of what's the most challenging game out there, and I think he happened to be specifically speaking about controller players, but he said it's not Warzone. Apex is tougher than Warzone, and then Fortnite is on a whole different level. It takes a super talented individual to succeed at the highest levels of Fortnite. There's just no doubt about it. So it's really fun. So heck, you could probably say four-dimensional game in terms of what it takes to get that dub in the end game. But at the end of the day, in terms of what the current market looks like, I think I will keep my words short and not waste any breath, and I'll just say look at Enterprise Gaming, look at Endless, and look at Nine Lives. Those are three organizations that went hard in the competitive scene. They had great results in terms of gaining followers, gaining views. They had incredible reach within their membership, and guess what? They're not here anymore. And it's a shame. They all had incredibly positive things about them, but I think there were some, unfortunately, maybe not a diversification of what they had to offer, and ultimately the ownership decided to step away. And I think one thing we all, I think at some stage, can have some fun and meme and joke around about these types of things. But at the end of the day, a healthy org environment is good for all of us. And it's disappointing and it's unfortunate to see, managers and creators lose an opportunity with an organization because it goes out of business. But at the end of the day, we need to be making sure we're making this a sustainable industry as well, and diversifying what our organizations have to offer and making sure we're doing it in a responsible manner for our investors and frankly our membership. And I don't think that singular approach is frankly sustainable. Fortnite, as much as we like to think so, is not the same marketable quote esport as Valorant or CS:GO, Rocket League, or others. So we need to make sure we all step it up together and make sure we can make this a successful game and org environment.
And yeah, like I personally think, a lot of players' contracts have been inflated because just, over the years, it's just, more and more are coming into the game. They're being more competitive, and obviously every org wants to be better than the other one and, be on top. So like it makes sense, but I want to see Aeolus, Jacqueline, or Mitchell, you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I want to add is I thought Kirsch throwing up the laughing emojis is pretty funny. But I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. You kind of covered it all.
I'll also acknowledge that we came into the space in that exact fashion. So when I'm saying that, I'm not dragging others down. I think every organization at some level has learned from things that they've done and hope to grow from it. We came in really heavy on the competitive scene. We established a name for ourselves for sure, and now it's time to supplement and complement those early successes with an additional avenue to reach this community.
One thing that I will say, because I always see these new orgs coming in, and they'll just throw like a $20,000 a month on comp. And I think they just do that because they see money, so they think there's money there. And that's always the people that just literally come into esports because they see all these big dollar signs, but they don't know what they're doing. And that's like every month there's a new one of those that just throws so much money. And it's so sad to see because like literally might as well make a fire with it and it'll be more productive. But yeah, it's really sad.
I know Era and Fuse just came in. Thank you for joining us. Before you were here, we just Minty and I had every org just explain, who's behind the mic right now and how everything started up until now with the org. So Era and Fuse, want to introduce yourself and everything? He may be having some connections issues right now, so we'll just wait until he's ready. But in the meantime, TNA, how has everything been with the process of getting in like the new house? What are your plans for it? Who do you plan on moving in? And like, can we get any sneak peek information and future plans with it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think our entrance into the esports space with our first house was definitely very memorable, and first house was incredible. Tons of really cool memories we had there, tons of great content that we put out there. But you know, our next house is as exciting, and I think a lot of people will watch the house tour and be like, wow, this is a really sweet place. I think it's more content oriented, which is very cool. We've got a couple dope features like our own access to a lake and our own little private beach. We've got our own dock for fishing and boating. So I think there's going to be lots of different videos coming out of the TNA house right after we do our new mansion tour, and it's going to be super 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 exciting. So I don't want to give much more away, but you're going to see a lot of the faces we have now at the house, and a couple new faces, I'd say. So uh, yeah, that's all I can talk about, I guess.
When is this? Do you think you're going to release all those videos and everything on it? And how do you think it, other than like the lake and beach and everything, how else do you think it compares like the actual layout inside the house to your current one?
I'll let you guys see it for yourselves on the house tour. I think I'll leave that more of a surprise. I'll let everyone watch that and enjoy that. But it's a beautiful, beautiful space. So we're definitely very excited to reveal it to everyone and start pumping out new content when we move in very shortly.
Don't worry about it. I mean, nobody will say anything yet.
So listen, I just want to say this is a safe space. There's 100. I know there's 126 people or so in here. You're more than welcome to give any more leaks if you want. Just hit me up. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Nobody will say anything.
Well,
How's
tactical
business?
silence. So
Okay.
if
I can respect
the extent of the leaks, you can go on Kershaw's in here, posted a couple teaser videos and whatnot on his page, so you can go check out some of those videos and posts. That's about it.
Hey, real quick, while we're on the topic of your house, I just want you guys to keep your head on the swivel and keep your eyes and ears open, because we almost pranked your mansion hard, and we will consider it for this new house when we find this
Oh
location.
God,
So watch
well,
out. So you guys
I guess the move here is I
keep the
know
location secret.
we inadvertently leaked the address on our first house, and we will learn our mistake and not to do that
I
this
just
time
want to point
around.
out too. You mentioned Kershaw being in.
Paulie's gonna be TP.
It sounds like
Yeah.
Sticks and Who Fishy are getting perma-banned from the new house.
Yeah,
So.
you might need to watch out for those too.
He keeps using the laughing emote.
I just wanted to point out too. You mentioned Kershaw being in the audience right now. He's kind of like while you're up there speaking, he's kind of like that best friend of yours when you're on a panel that's in the crowd that he keeps emoji, using the laughing emote or the,
I think
the fist or something that's trying to make you nervous.
He is. He's trying to troll the living hell out of me right now, and he's purposely making me uncomfortable. But that's working with Kershaw in a nutshell, dealing with a child at times. But it's fun when you have to babysit someone. So
I can respect it.
no, but
we all have those friends.
But no, in all seriousness, I can't think of anything more fun than to start an esports org with a close friend of yours. And I'm sure many of you guys here on the panel have started your teams and orgs with close friends, and it's more fun when you're doing it with people that you care about and that you have fun with. So.
All right, so I think Aaron was having.
That's awesome, and yeah, you guys seem to have pretty good synergy all across the board. So things are going well for you guys, and best of luck with the new house and everything.
Appreciate that very much.
Community teams to bring in the idea.
All right, so I think Aaron was having some technical difficulties, and Sly will be here in a little bit. So we're going to move on to Devour. So Mitchell, I got to ask, you were one of the first community teams to bring in the idea of the Rank Up Academy system, which, you gave some great advice for us when we were starting out as well. How has everything been going for you, and what's the most successful and I guess least successful part you've seen from Devour Future so far, and are there any future plans with it or updates with it, anything like that?
Yeah, so I think we were the first Fortnite team to introduce different ranks into an academy. So think of like literally any game ever where there's silver, gold, platinum, whatever, whatever. We had that with grinders, and that we did that for a year. Every weekend we would rank people up, and about a month and a half ago we just kind of had enough and totally scrapped that. And now that academy is just like a straight up regular academy. Um, like literally anything you've ever heard of. Because that the sort of rank up thing got very, very, very repetitive for everyone involved. Would not recommend for anyone listening. That was just a big headache for no reason. But I mean, we learned a lot from it. It helps people grow a lot, and helps them kind of see where they can improve. And then one thing we really focus on with the academy is giving people direct feedback and kind of social help. So what we kind of saw is a lot of these teams have these grinders and they just kind of grind for the sake of it. And we like to help people and kind of
And is there any
show them, oh,
future,
you're only getting
I
20
guess,
YouTube videos because of
plans within
this.
the
You should
academy, or
probably
kind
try
of
to
just
change
figuring
it
it
up.
out one step at a time now that you guys went with a different route with
But
it?
yeah, kind of scrap the whole rank up thing, but the academy still exists.
And is there any future, I guess, plans within the academy, or kind of just figuring it out one step at a time now that you guys went with a different route with it?
I mean, there are plans, but I don't think I can say anything
Gotcha.
of it.
Gotcha,
Is it
gotcha.
still in the works, or is there anything confirmed behind the scenes, if you could say that?
A lot of it's still in the works, I'd say.
Sounds
My
good.
next question for anyone could chime in here. Do you think the age to play Fortnite competitive should be 13? And if not, what age and why?
I think it should be 13 because I think it would remove a lot of the charm and what made the game so special. A lot of the more mature pros now in the scene, wouldn't be the mature pros we have now in the scene if they wouldn't started playing the game at say, 13, 14, 15 years old. So it's kind of the magic thing that, you know, Fortnite allows people who are under 18 to compete competitively, but I almost think that, given those people have that opportunity, yes, kids will be kids, and when you're 13 to 18, there's obviously a lot of immaturity. But ever so increasingly, young people in you see it all the time in basketball and soccer. There are professional soccer players who are debuting and playing their first games at 16 to 15 years old, and they're already unbelievably mature. I think I'd like to see some more of those qualities in the Fortnite scene. I think there's still a lot of immaturity, but as an org, you can do your due diligence and do your job and try to recruit people who you think either are avoid that sort of controversy, avoid being unbelievably toxic or immature, or if they're they're doing it purely in a comedic lens and not actually to hurt people. So as a team, you can do that due diligence and choose people who you know who won't represent your team poorly. So yeah, I think there's a lot of growing to do amongst folks in the community because it is a young community, but it would suck for the esport to radically change and be 18 plus and kind of lose its charm.
100%. Aeolus, Mitchell, or probably like say anything about the 13-year-old for comp.
I think that's kind of what makes Fortnite Fortnite. A lot of esports have that cutoff of 18 or 16. And that really makes Fortnite unique, especially dating back to like World Cup or whatever, where you had, I think it was like Savage had just turned 13 or something like that. No, it was that all these 13-year-olds couldn't compete in Winter Royale, the first one. And when they switched the age down to 13, the like playing field was a lot more leveled because the skill gap got a lot higher. I think I may have confused those two. But yeah, people got a lot better really quick because younger kids are typically better in these shooter games.
Yeah, I'd say too, on that same note, Mitchell, you look at other sports, you have 17, 18-year-olds heading to the NBA. You see, specifically like running backs in the NFL have an incredibly short career. They do a year or two in college, and then jump to the NFL, and they probably on average, survive in the NFL for 3 or 4 years. So I think it's helpful, especially for younger, talented people to be able to explore that career opportunity while their dexterity and their mind is peaking at that level. Again, that comes with, I think, a crucial point of having parents involved and having good people around them to help them, to guide them, just like you would in any other friend group or team, in middle school or high school. You want to surround yourself with good people that can help you mature in the right direction. But in terms of your skills and developing your talent, I don't think there's really ever an age that someone should be stunted from giving it a shot. I mean, I do think 13 is an appropriate maturity level to start. And I don't think there's anything unhealthy about giving people that opportunity to succeed.
I totally agree with that, and I think personally, it really is like a plus. I like how it's 13 plus. It's a free game, basically on any platform. Obviously not Apple now, but um, and it's not like pay to win or anything. It's totally just strictly uh, fair competitive gameplay. But the only negative thing is with 13-year-olds is they might be a little immature. They have Twitter. They might be really good, have a big following, and just say some irrational things sometimes. But you know what? At the end of the day, like they're just kids. You can't blame them sometimes unless obviously it's like an awful thing, if that makes sense.
Unless you have the alien skin or the superhero white skin, then it really is pay to play.
Exactly. Big head. But all right, so let's talk about this. Today at 2:48 p.m., Daquan and Hamlin's tweeted out the eyes emoji, and like, are they coming back? Also, I recently watched the Courage and Nate Shot podcast, and they brought Myth on, and they were actually talking about them. And funny enough, 2 days later, now they just tweet that out. So, what are your guys' opinions on that?
I think it has the potential to be comparable to some of the moves from Tfue and Nick Merckx and Courage and others, giving Apex a shot as opposed to Warzone. Viewership in Apex has absolutely skyrocketed since we've had some of these major content creators jump over from Call of Duty. I think it would be massive to see those guys come back and succeed. I think it's healthy to see some OGs come back into the system. It'd be great. I hope, that being said, who knows what they come back to, right? Doesn't necessarily mean it'll be Fortnite. I think we would all be hopeful or assume that could be the case, but there's no guarantee by any means. Hopefully the both of them have been in a good, mental state and physical state. Both of them went through a lot the last couple of years, but it would be pretty massive. I don't think we've seen anything on the creator side of things of that scale in a very, very long time. It'd be huge. I think I saw both of them had like 30 or 40,000 likes in like 30 minutes. So I think the community, the esports community at large, would welcome them with open arms. I think it'd be a major, major positive. And just another win for TSM. They just can't stop winning.
Although what I thought was kind of curious, I don't know if this is on purpose, but in those Vegas billboards, there seemed like the TSM logo seemed to be blurred out or photoshopped out, or maybe it was just the shirt didn't have the logos to start off with. But I thought that was interesting that there was no indication that there was any org attached to Daquan and Hamlin. So I don't know if they're solo or they're still under TSM. I guess that's all up in the air. But if they're still on TSM, that would be, the coolest and biggest bang of a comeback from any creator, right? In esports space we've seen in a while. So, but who knows, right?
Yeah, like when they were streaming, they were just not only so good at the game, they were just so entertaining and made so many kids happy every single day just watching them for hours.
There's just, frankly, well, first of all, there's no one of that size really anymore. But as you mentioned, it was just original. It was funny. It was entertaining. I do think, and I think a lot of people can agree right now that in the content space
Absolutely.
and other
Appreciate you guys'
spaces, it
takes on all
does
that too.
at
That's
times feel a
definitely
bit
exciting to see
stale,
what
and I think that
happens
could be a
with
really
everything, and
good
whether
shot
they're
in the
gonna go
arm.
solo with the Photoshop theory or not. We'll see what goes on. But
Absolutely.
I did want to.
Well, appreciate you guys' takes on all that too. That's
the floor
definitely exciting to
questions.
see what
We did have
happens
some
with everything, and
if you guys, if
whether
anybody
they're going to
wants
go
to come up and
solo
ask a
with the
question for
Photoshop
any of the orgs
theory or not.
specifically, for
We'll see.
Barbara or
We'll see what goes
myself,
on. But
again, just feel free to DM
I did
or
want
request
to open
join
up
and
the
have a
floor to
question ready,
questions now.
or
I
you
did
can
have
tweet
some
out
people DM.
anything
If
you want
anybody wants to come up and ask
regarding
a
the question,
question
and then
for any of the
hashtag
orgs
eSpace
specifically,
series
for my Arbor or
as it is
myself,
on
again, just feel
the
free to
tweet at the
DM
top here.
or request to join and have a question
And
ready,
I know
or you can
Dudes
tweet out
is here. I'm gonna bring up Dudes
anything you want
first because
regarding the
not only
question,
did
and then
Dudes
hashtag
whip up
eSpace
a
series as
last
it is
minute little rebrand that
on the
we're
tweet at the
using right
top
now
here.
for eSpace, but he's been around.
And I
in the
know
community for a while.
Dudes is here. I'm going to bring up Dudes
Shows
first
love. Dudes,
because
how's it
not
going?
only did Dudes whip up a last minute little rebrand that we're using right now for eSpace, but he's been around. He's been around in the community for a while. I want to show him some love. Dudes, how's it going? I think I just invited him.
I just got him, yeah.
He's connecting and waving. I love it.
He's connecting and waving. I love it.
Let's bring someone else up in the meantime. Dudes, I'm going to just remove you from the speaker, and then you could request again once your internet is good. Let's bring up. Yo, how you doing?
How's it going? Rainbow?
You're on mute, by the way.
Do you have any questions?
Hello?
How's it going?
Hello?
How's it going, Rainbow?
Yo, what's up?
Nothing much. You have any questions?
Yes, so with 1%, how does it feel like having just one comp player, like mainly a corn? Are you gonna add more players to your comp roster? Or just keep it as a corn?
Well, thanks for the question. Nice to meet you, buddy. I don't really know right now. To be honest with you, my initial thought process around that is just Acorn. Anybody that knows me pretty well and knows that I'm pretty hyper skeptical about Fortnite esports. I don't really know how I feel about it long term right now. And for us as a content team, Acorn, as I said before, only really makes sense because of now he's kind of part of our family and he's part of what 1% is and part of our history. And so we make a real effort to ensure we stay in that scene for him. We have spoken to pro players recently, and I think there's a chance that we could potentially pick up somebody that is looking to take advantage of the content side of things a little bit more, whilst also pursuing their professional career. I think Fortnite as a landscape right now, and in terms of content, is kind of shifting from before. Obviously, like from our perspective, like some kids wanted to watch Formula load into a duo and troll somebody. Now nobody really wants to watch that. They really want to watch tournament content. They want to watch high level content. And to be honest with you, most of the people on 1%, like myself, suck at the game. So for us, it's really about getting more people involved that could probably represent us and make content videos a lot better. And that's probably how we'll end up getting other pros involved. But in terms of like prioritizing competitive, I don't foresee us doing that, at least as it stands. So
And I have one more question. How do you feel with his recent placements?
happy. I mean, everybody in life goes through you go through ups and downs as a player. You could win every event, you could win every other event. He is so consistent, and his team is so consistent and talented. You know, overarchingly, he gives us the representation that we need as an organization, and he himself represents himself so well. To be quite frank with you, even if Acorn has never won an event under 1%, I would still be saying the things I'm saying about him. Like I said, our value we see in him is not really in reference to his placements. But I think he's doing an incredible job of showing that he has longevity and consistency, which from what I've observed about pro players in the Fortnite scene before, they go through kind of waves of placements where they're at the top and then all of a sudden they just no longer can compete. And I think his trio, all credit to them, have done an incredible job of showing that they can do that and can remain top competitors. So it's really cool.
Okay, thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
It's good to come up after.
Appreciate you coming up,
Rambo.
Rambo.
Question from the crowd too, as well. After.
All right, let's bring up Nips next.
How's it going?
Also, dudes, I think is good to come up after, and then I also have one question from the crowd too, as well after.
Yo,
What's up, Nips?
How's it going?
Sorry.
good. I just got a question, right? So, say you're like a new up-and-coming team, 3-4 months old, and you're like looking to get established. What would be like the key steps to get in there, or like what you should focus on?
Sure, I'll answer first. I think most importantly, a lot of teams think they could just come into this space and throw money at it. And just because they sign a bunch of people means that people have a reason to support them. I think in esports, the real way to see growth and the real way to translate growth from a player or grow as an organization is to have a message and have an identity. So, in building something or creating something, when you build it, I think you ask yourself, what's the reasons for it and what are you trying to accomplish? And I think establishing that to your fan base clearly and making it part of your vision and making it clear gives people a reason to support you in your journey, right? And so it isn't just about going and being like, look, we signed X, Y, and Z. Now we're the best Fortnite. Nobody cares. What they care about, because those players could easily go sign with another organization tomorrow. So in my opinion, it's about really building definition, right? 1%, I like to say this, and I mean it, the 1% logo really doesn't mean shit if we didn't have a group of people behind it, defining it. And so I say to you, make sure that when you do build a team or you do create something, build it with people that you can trust and that have a real vision, and make sure you portray that vision to ensure that people can see why you're doing it. So,
alrighty, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming up.
Appreciate you coming up, Nips.
We got an amazing speaker next, Mr. Bolis. What's up, Bolis?
What's up? How you doing? How you guys all doing? Just have a quick question. So, what would you gentlemen say to somebody who's my age? I'm 31. I'm not as talented as these young kids are anymore when it comes to video games. What would you say to somebody that would want to get into behind the scenes of the esports world? Meaning in a sense of either managing some type of internship, just in a way to be a manager, a coach, whatever, etc.
Same thing, just getting that sort of network already established to where you can have those kind of opportunities. I believe I saw you last night in Arab Space.
I'd say for
About
starters,
that. So
I'm assuming
for
everyone else would
starters,
say
my
pretty
first
much the
thought
same
would
thing.
be,
Just getting that sort of
reach out
network
to
already
Eric about
established
that
to where you can have
specific
those kind of opportunities.
question
I
and
believe I
ask
saw
him if
you
he can maybe give you some more
last
advice
night
or
in Arab
recommend
Yeah.
a
Space.
Mm-hmm.
specific team
Am I
or
right
Yeah.
about that? So
organization
just
that either he's had
for
experience with
starters,
he's
my
worked
first
with or
thought
he
would
just
be,
respects the
reach
community
out
that
to Arab
he
about
might
that
think he'd be a good
specific
fit for
question
based on
and
your
ask
track
him
record,
if
as I
he
said,
can
your
maybe give
history.
you some more
You know,
advice
with how
or
big of a creator
recommend a
he is,
specific team
he
or
has so many
organization that
connections. I'm sure he'd
either
be able
he's
to
had
help out a
experience
lot
with,
with
he's
that, as
worked
I
with, or
know
he just,
from
respects in the
personal
community that
experience starting
he
out
might
from
think you'd be a good fit for
the get
based
go
on your track
of
record or based
trying
on your
to
history.
just get
With
any
how
sort
big
of
of a
position
creator he
within
is,
this community.
he
It's not
has
the easiest
so many
task. You do a
connections.
lot
I'm
of
sure he'd be
networking
able
and
to help
everything
out a
else, and
lot with that, as I
that's life
know
in general. But
from personal experience starting out
I'd
from the
recommend something like
the
that
get go
personally.
of trying to just get any sort of position within this community is not the easiest
Of
task.
course.
You have to do a lot of networking, and of course, and that's life in general. But I'd recommend something like that personally.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think too, man. I mean, obviously you've been, you were with Vanish a while
Yeah.
back, right? Yeah. So I mean, you've obviously been in the scene quite some
Mhm.
time. I presume you're still working those long ass weeks in the patrol car as
Yeah.
well.
Still
Yeah.
working.
So, well, first of all, thank you for everything you
Appreciate
do,
you.
keeping your community safe. And I think, obviously that's an incredibly taxing incredibly taxing and challenging profession. I think the first thing, since you're maybe trying to get kind of back into it, is just deciding what type of time and commitment you are interested and
Mm-hmm.
willing to jump into. And you're a talented guy. You're mature, which I think is something every every organization is looking for, specifically here with this group on the kind of primarily Fortnite side. We can't find enough mature people out there that can handle themselves
Of course.
professionally. So I think really just having open conversations with people. I mean, just jumping up here right now. I mean, I'd love to talk to you later about it and see what you might be interested in, what type of time commitment you're looking to do, and what you'd like to focus on. But you obviously have a passion for it. I know you've been rocking the TikTok as well. I'm not sure if you've been keeping up with that, but I've seen you on the For You page a
I
time or
still
two.
keep up as much
So I know
content as
you have it.
possible,
You have it in your blood. So I think just kind of figuring out what, as you reevaluate getting back into it a little bit more, what excites you and what that time commitment is, and then go
Absolutely.
from there.
I appreciate it. Anybody else?
Also, bullies, I know you are good friends with a lot of people in this community, and I'm sure if you bounce ideas off them, they could give you right leadway also, because obviously you're very capable of many things.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate that. Anybody else with any opinions
Appreciate you coming up. Nice to meet you.
in the esports world, or are we good? Good. Okay. Well, thank you guys for bringing me up.
From
Thanks for coming up.
Want to come up, but
Appreciate you coming up. Nice to
You
meet you.
guys too. Later.
Paulie might be able to answer this a little bit better because I don't know everyone else's taking the scene of it. But
so I did have one question from somebody who didn't want to come up, but I know
how do organizations feel about expanding into the competitive
Paulie
Apex
might be able to
market?
answer
And I
this
know,
a little bit better because I don't know everyone else's taking the scene of it. But from Spacey LOL1, he says, how do organizations feel about expanding into the competitive Apex market? And I know we've been diving into that a little bit. Paulie, if you'd maybe like to touch on that.
Yeah, no leaks, but we'll be announcing a competitive Apex team in the coming weeks. No leaks though, guys, no leaks. It's a super exciting game right now, as we talked about, a ton of big creators, jumping over to Apex. So I think it's important that, we all here have some sort of base in Fortnite, but not, lacking the ability to be fluid with what the industry is trending towards or pushing with. I think would be a mistake. I myself did not, I'm just being frank, I did not believe Apex would hold its value for this long. It's really cool to see a game that has long been established, maybe not at the top of the list, but has maintained itself there. Now it's absolutely blowing up. It's super exciting. It's a cool game. I think it's a nice little relatively natural transition. Obviously, it doesn't have the same building mechanics and everything, but it's much closer to Fortnite than say even a Call of Duty in terms of the kind of the fantasy aspect to it. It's good. It's a good game. Really excited to pursue that avenue, and not to mention some other traditional kind of esports avenues as well. I think it's crucial to find other avenues and diversify what you have to offer as an org to provide the community.
Some other teams are getting involved.
And Apex is a very
KNG,
natural
brought on a
move right now. No leaks though.
No leaks. Absolutely, yeah. And you saw obviously some other teams are getting involved. KNG,
right.
Brought on a team as well.
Yeah, they made a pretty good move. They did all right. They only won. They only picked up a team, then won like the next week.
Yeah.
In the meantime, guys,
That's all right.
I did want to thank again all the.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question, Spacey.
OA 1%.
I'm going to bring up Stacks next.
Of course, eSpace.
Okay, perfect.
Being up here.
In the meantime, guys, while Stacks is coming up, I did want to thank again all the speakers for coming up here. OA 1%, TNA, Devour, and of course eSpace for being up here. And appreciate if you guys would drop all the team pages a follow. Drop the eSpace page a follow as well. We're recording and going to be uploading these for you guys to listen back on if you for some reason missed these in the future, or if you just wanted to listen to Pauly talk on again or something like that.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
How's it going, Stacks?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Stacks, if you're not joining us from the beach in Mexico, we're gonna be very disappointed in you.
Oh yeah.
How's everything going? We're taking some questions right now. If you have any.
My bad. I keep pressing this. Yeah, I just got back to the room, so I
tuned
tuned in and seen a really interesting conversation. So I was like, "See what's up to the boys."
How's everything going? We're taking some questions right now. If you have any questions for.
Yeah,
I
have a question that I think some people might be interested in as far as the esports. What do you think is the next move as far as esports team recruiting? Do you think are more esports team focusing on single content creators and professional players rather than teams, or is it vice versa? What do you think is because I don't really see many esports teams recruiting teams as Pauly was saying as a whole, like full Apex team, full CS:GO team. I always see people recruiting single content creators and single professional players. So do you think that's the next move, is getting teams on board and trying to do that, or what?
Good question. I think that'll vary from the level of competitive that they're entering into, as well as what the budget situation is. If you're a tier 1, you're going to be able to build one hell of a 5 stack right off the bat in Valorant or elsewhere. But I think others might have to kind of piece things together at varying levels of budget in order just to get their name out there in that space. To be honest with you, I think to some level on the competitive scene, you almost have to approach it as a team in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, in Fortnite, that's not necessarily the case, but you're not going to have a trio in ALGS if you don't have. I see what you're saying, Stacks. So you're saying, for example, if you're getting into Apex, you just want to grab one guy, or you want to grab the whole trio?
Exactly. That's what I meant.
Good question. I think the answer remains the same. Obviously, it'd be a lot easier potentially to single an individual out, but with how close these guys are, I think a lot of it can be determined by the leverage that the players themselves have, and they do seem to like to travel in packs in a lot of cases. But I'm sure at the end of the day, for the higher level, money is going to determine whether that's a package deal or otherwise.
Right. No, I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, let's say an esports team that wants to branch off into a brand new game, for example, CS:GO. Do you think, as far as budget goes, like you said, depends on all the budget, but would you rather get one guy for the entire budget of a CS:GO pro, or would you rather shoot for a whole team for the same amount that you would pay that one guy? That's what I meant, is like, do you think the next move is trying to focus on getting a full team, but not as, I don't know how to explain it, but not as for the same budget or worth as, for example, getting one guy that's like crazy out there? You get what I'm saying?
Right. Like a tier 1 content creator or a a 5-stack of
Exactly.
senators.
Yes,
Yeah, no,
that's where I meant with that.
I guess that's a good question for the sustainability of an organization. I guess it comes down to what the reach and um, viewership and ability for that team versus that member to be out there. I think for some of these established, like really established old school OG esports, I do think there's an attractiveness to grabbing a team inside the, even if it's that, second tier competitive league. I think there's a real attractiveness to going with the full competitive scene as opposed to a single creator if possible.
Absolutely. I believe recruiting a team is definitely the move. As far as budget wise, if you're going to be spending the same amount on one guy as you would on 4 or 5 guys, depending on what game it is, I feel like a team would definitely be a better move, even if it's not a tier 1 team, for example. I feel like pitching that to like sponsors and future, collaborations with companies. I feel like it's easier to pitch saying, "Hey, I got this team. This is their stats. They're doing crazy good. This is what they can bring to the table," signing them up for tournaments, wearing the jersey, whatever, compared to pitching just one guy, even though he's a tier 1 pro. I think definitely a team is the way to go, which I don't see many esports teams doing. As far as I see them signing many single people, like imagine signing a trio that got top 10 FNCS, like all 3 of them. I think that would be a lot easier to pitch to sponsors, collabs, whatever, rather than just signing one out of the 3.
The seas a little bit. If you want to talk about that,
I think too, and I can't speak for TNA on this, but they kind of worked with this with the with the guys over across the seas a little bit. If you want to talk about that, Joaquin.
Yeah, I mean, we did it once with obviously Reverse 2K Day and Miro when they won their first FNCS championship. We did it with them, and it was crazy, how that immediately put us on the map in in competitive Fortnite. And then we kind of tried to take that similar concept and say, how can we build a really interesting storyline, an arc? And we said, okay, in other traditional sports, when you've got elite competitors in one region, you bring them to the better leagues or the better regions to see how they can compete against harder competition, right? It's something that's been done, in soccer for years. You take South American prospects and you take them to Europe to see how they compete in the European leagues, right? So we thought, well, surely at the time a one-time FNCS champion trio, surely if you brought them to North America, they'd be able to do well. And we signed them right before they won their second trio FNCS. So then it was awesome that they won a trio FNCS under Team New Age. And I think it's like this really cool storyline that everyone's kind of looking at. Ooh, how are the Australian guys going to do in North America? And slowly but surely, they've been improving every week and doing much better. And they nearly auto qualified to grands last week. I think a little bit more luck, and they auto qualified to grands, and it's a fantastic story. So I think they have a lot of confidence, and it's shaping up to be a really fascinating story. And their first 2 to 3 months ever playing on a new region, the fact that they're probably going to qualify for grand finals in and of itself is a huge achievement. And I think in the second season, I think that's when they're really going to prove to people that, after they make the full adjustment to having played in NA East for a long time, I think they'll be a serious contender. But it's been so exciting, and now with Team New Age, and like Paulie was saying earlier, and a bunch of other guys, for us, at least from our perspective, the value in bringing on people on the competitive side is either for those really interesting storylines that can develop, or people that have really strong communities that stream very often. So, the only other quote unquote competitive guys we have other than our 3 Australians are Slick, who's one of the biggest streamers in the Hispanic community. He's from Mexico, and Oliver OG, who he streams 12 to 14 hours a day, and he's a grinder, and he's always on he's always on Twitch. So for us, it's people who are really invested in streaming, being marketable, or can have really interesting, fun storylines that people talk about.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much nailed my question, because I really wasn't too much into like Fortnite esports because I just focus on making content. Whatever, I focus more on the content creators and whatnot to help me with my content. But recently, like whenever I do watch like the tables and the standings of pro, like FNCS and whatnot, whenever I see a trio and I see the same team on all three names, I tend to look up that team and then I do more research on it. I feel like it brings more eyes when you see three, for example, OA guys qualifying top 10 FNCS rather than three guys from three different teams. I feel like it brings in a lot more eyes. And that was my question in regards to, is the next move, recruiting trios, teams, duos, whatever, because always a package deal is always nice when it comes down to esports, especially because it does bring eyes. Like you said, when you got three of the same guys on the same team qualifying for grands, that just brings a lot of teams on the map and tends to bring more people like, hey, I'm gonna go to check this team out OA and see what they're all about. They got three guys that just qualified. Second question that I was really curious, and I've been in these esports spaces a lot recently. I've never really asked questions, and I haven't seen this question pop up. Has any esports team or org or whatever, since there's a lot of smaller ones and their budgets are obviously a lot smaller, like for example, Reverse is a free agent, and FNCS is coming around the corner and he's announcing that he's going to go. Is there such a thing where people can, like orgs can pay a pro to represent them for that tournament? Now, I played soccer my entire life, and going to these tournaments and whatnot, there is sponsors that just sponsor you for that tournament, and you rep their jersey, you rep their name, and you're literally sponsoring that team. So now, if Reverse is a free agent and somebody comes up to him and says, "Hey, here's X amount of money, represent our team name for the tournament," and you're going to get this much, and all we're going to get is the recognition of you representing our team for that tournament, because not everybody has a crazy budget to be able to pay him salary for the year. You get what I'm saying? Is anybody ever interested, or is that something that people do or whatnot?
I
If
think
anybody
that,
can answer that.
yeah, and anybody jump in over me on this, but I would be more than willing to bet a significant amount of money that happened quite a decent amount during the World Cup 2 years ago. But I think, specifically someone like Reverse is just on such a different level. I don't know that would make a ton of sense for him unless it was such an amount of money he couldn't refuse, in which case it is not worth that amount of money to the organization itself, which is exactly the reason we're talking about the Enterprise Gamings of the world, the Endless, the Nine Lives
Exactly.
going out of business. So I would say for your standard cup in Fortnite, at least, I would say it's not worth it, because I think the guys that are at the top are not going to be settling for something reasonable. But I think for potentially a World Cup situation, it's a different story given what you can be taking out of the World Cup as an organization in terms of going to New York City, that experience, that content, what you can build with your community. That's a whole different ballgame. But given the pandemic and lack of lands, and while FNCS is awesome, it pales in comparison to the World Cup. So I would say at this stage, it's probably not a likely scenario, especially given the type of competitive player that might be willing to accept that scenario is probably not going to end up at the top of the leaderboard.
Definitely. The reason I asked is because my buddies like Queasy and Trulex, when they got second in FNCS the first time they played, it was duos, I believe. They weren't on any team. They weren't, they've been good, solid players, living back in Europe. And I feel like players like that just have tremendous amount of talent that haven't been discovered yet, that obviously esports teams would have to do a lot of research and finding guys that have been placing, that have chances and taking a bet on it. Like here's X amount for this tournament, rep our name, or, sign you for 3 months just for this World Cup tournament or whatever. I feel like, after they did play second, obviously EP took them up on their team, and they did really well for EP. They got some pretty good placements, but I feel like with the amount of research out there, with all the necessities that there is for Fortnite, for example, and also every other game, obviously, with like stats, and that's all out there to the public, I believe that this is a really good possibility for people to be able to get their name out, along with smaller teams with smaller budgets to be able to get their name out as well, because I guarantee you some guys that place top 50, top 100 every tournament, there's guys out there within those top 100 that would be willing to settle down, $200 for the tournament, and you just take a bet and he might win it. You never know. He might win that cash cup. He might win the next 2 weeks, whatever it takes for your name change, because that's huge. Name changes are pretty big in Fortnite, I believe. Every single time I've looked it up, if I see OAX, I look up OA, and like I said, especially if I see a trio with the same name, all three of them, I definitely do my research and usually follow and keep up with it. So that's definitely something that I feel like many teams should take in and maybe even give it a shot. I don't know. In CSGO, they've done that. In CSGO, like I've gotten sponsored for a few tournaments by certain teams because it's easy to change your name on Steam. And I got paid $60 just to play in a tournament, and ESA tournament. And it doesn't matter how I do. I was guaranteed $60. I was worth more than $60, but hey, $60 is better than going in there solo and not getting anything. So that's the way I've seen it. But thank you guys for answering. I'm about to go grab a margarita. It was nice talking to you guys.
Have fun, man.
Enjoy
Thanks
your
for coming up,
trip.
Stacks.
Appreciate you as always, my man.
Enjoy the margarita.
Also want to thank some of you guys for tweeting out the hashtag.
All right, let's see. Dude's internet is good now. Dudes, I invited you up.
Whether it's a question in the hashtag,
if you're able to connect this time.
Also wanted to thank some of you guys for tweeting out the hashtag. It's easy for us to see when you tweet out the hashtag, whether it's a question in the hashtag or you wanting to come up and request, to speak to one of the speakers or anything like that. It's easier for us to see those than it is going through the, however many DMs we are getting.
Still having some internet issues. Okay. Okay, we had somebody.
All right, unfortunately,
they wanted to ask Devour
he is not coming up.
Still having some internet issues.
I'm trying to see.
Yeah.
He didn't request,
Okay.
but I'm trying to see if he's in here or not. Hectic FM, if you want to request to join, I'm trying to find.
Okay, we had somebody ask if they wanted to ask Devour a question.
Sounds good.
I'm trying to see. He didn't request, but I'm trying to see if he's in here or not. Hectic FM, if you want to request to join, I'm trying to find you to bring.
In the meantime, I could
yeah.
bring up Psychro. I know he's been requesting for a while now.
Sounds good.
What's up? How you doing tonight?
Hey, can you guys hear me? All right,
Yeah.
man. How's it going, guys?
Of course.
It's going well, thanks, and you?
It's doing pretty good. I just have a couple questions, if that's fine.
Of course.
All right. So I have a couple questions for everyone here. Would you have any suggestions or tips on running a successful esports organization?
It's pretty broad, but.
Anybody want to take a crack at that one?
Sure.
It's pretty broad. But...
I think it's a really wide open question, and I'd love to hear everybody chime into this one. I think it's one is something I already talked about with the previous question, is really defining yourself. I think that's really important, especially with how competitive this industry is, right? There's just so many other organizations that are doing exactly what you're doing at the same time, offering the exact same experience, and really thinking about what is going to separate you or what makes you different, and spending a lot of time theorizing around that concept is really important, right? Because in an industry where money seems to be pouring in every place possible, and people think they can come in and just spend money and get it, you kind of need to think about how can you build something that people see value in, regardless of how much you spend per month to obtain it, right? And I think a lot of these teams, I always speak very highly of Team New Age. I think they've done a really good job in showing that you could build something without having to spend millions of dollars or overspend in that manner. And I think that's because they have a lot of definition. A lot of the brands in here have definition. That's why they have success. And that's what separates them from every other brand that exists. Because whilst there's only a few teams in here, I can assure you that there's 100+ Fortnite teams doing exactly what we do. But every organization respectively has something about it that people choose to follow and choose to be a part of in that community. So I would spend a lot of time thinking about that. at least in my perspective, right? In a very competitive industry, what's your mission? Why are you doing what you want to do with your team? And really making that the focal point and giving people a reason to pick you over another, right? So
I appreciate the kind words, and I guess I'll piggyback off of what you're saying. I thought the other day Hantao had a great little thread, being very brutally, and for those who don't know who Hantao is in the crowd, Hantao, he's the CEO of Overtime Gaming, and he made some great points, that if you're going to enter the esports world and, you don't have the money, you have to be very smart in how to adopt, right, the identity or the philosophy behind what you're doing, and you have to be really smart about things, right? So, like Mitchell was saying earlier, Devour essentially works on a zero budget, and they have way more know-how from a content perspective, from a socials perspective, than many teams in the Fortnite space that are spending upwards of $15,000 to $20,000 a month, and they're getting better results from a content perspective, from a socials perspective, from a growing a community perspective, than a ton of teams in the community who are pouring th- thousands upon thousands of dollars and not seeing the returns, right? So, and Houndtown made this point, right? If you're going to go into the industry, um, I guess a word of advice I would say is, it's very hard to come in here and just think, yeah, I'm going to have a tier one competitive roster, or I'm going to have this and that off the get go, because there are other people in this industry who have their own teams who are working with limitless amounts of money and will outprice you in terms of getting good free agents. So I guess you just have to go about the space in a more tactical way. And like Aeolus was saying, really building that identity, building that brand, being very brand focused. Because at the end of the day, yeah, if you have a bunch of placements or whatever to your name, fantastic. But if the underlying team, it's not something that someone can get behind, and not something that someone can fall in love with for years and years to come, no matter who's on your team, then what is your team worth, right? It's just worth a bunch of pictures and placements that you throw up on Twitter, and that's it. So I guess, just echoing what Aeolus was saying, that the building the identity and building your community is so so key. And I guess, Paulie, if there's a team that's as community centric as can be, and that's like the claim to fame that they have, I think OA does that better than many teams in the community. If not, that's the best thing you guys do, is the community engagement. I think that's your guys' winning factor over tons of teams in the space.
Yeah, Paul, you want to go?
No,
Or
go
I
ahead.
got it. Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with what both of you just said. So there's so many of these tiny orgs that pop up literally every other week that are carbon copies of each other, and anyone who has any sort of experience can like take a 20-second look through who's running it and be like, oh, that's gonna end. Oh, that's like a total mess. And it's kind of stupid how often it happens. And people just don't understand like the sense of community that you need to build to be semi-successful. OA does a really good job of that. Just yeah,